Welcome to part 3 of It's Fine or I'm Fine, where we're talking about the voices of the throat gates today. I'm going to break down just the part of the throat gate that particularly pertains to the kinds of phrases that you speak out of your throat. And these are just going to be the voices of the throat for each gate, not full descriptions of each throat gate. Just wanted you to understand that before we dive in. And then the second thing I wanted to say was that the themes of each of these voices of the throat are, it's the phrase, it is or isn't. It's like it's an off-on switch kind of thing. So for example, if you have gate 56, which is I believe, it's like I believe or not. So every voice that I've given you for each of the throat gates, just add a little or not onto the end. So look in the show notes also for journal prompts. And if you are loving this pod, remember to hit the subscribe button or the follow button and share it with a friend so we can get the word out there. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, please excuse the fact that I look kind of like a floating head today because of the sunlight shining in on me. Gotta love soaking up the vitamin D however I can. Plus, I don't have shades in my office. So anyway, I'm your host, Lori Lisai, human design teacher and midlife coach, here to help you use human design to shed the shoulds and be who you came here to be. Let's dive in. Hello, beauties, and welcome back to the third part of the It's Fine series. And this time I want to dive into the throat gates in particular and how you can actually leverage these to ditch the phrase I'm fine or it's fine from your vocabulary and leverage them to speak your truth. So I'm fine, I think, is one of the biggest lies that can leave our lips, and it's actually what's keeping us small. And it keeps us unheard. It keeps us from stepping into our full midlife power. It keeps us just functioning in a way that is not our truth. It's not true to ourself. So this isn't an episode, though, about finding your voice, because you already have a voice. This is actually about reclaiming the power of your voice and learning how to use it. The throat center, as I mentioned in last week's episode 49, about using the throat center and its connection to the sacral. The throat center is our manifestation hub. It's where we put words into the ethers, into the world. And it's where energy becomes those words, which then incites action and ultimately impact. And this is whether you have a defined throat or undefined throat. Either way, your voice matters. And what I want to help you do today is rewire the way that you speak and decondition from I'm fine forever. So the cost of saying I'm fine, as we've talked about before, is you suppress your truth. It shuts down your creative energy. It keeps you unheard. It keeps you unseen. It's like that good girl, right? You're just basically playing the good girl part and tamping down anything that might upset the current situation by saying I'm fine or it's fine. But I want you to think about your words as spells, because what happens when you speak them out into the world, they create your reality. Your throat center is where your power comes to life. So if you're using that power to downplay your needs, then you're actively manifesting a life where you don't matter. Your needs don't matter when you are using your voice in that way. So, what would happen if you actually spoke using the power of your specific throat gates? So, if you're looking at your chart, Reminder, if you don't have your chart, go to my website, www.lorilisai.com, and go to get your chart, plug in your birth details, and then look at what your body graph chart says. That third center down from the top, which is the square, is it colored in or is it not colored in? If it's colored in, then that means it's defined. It means you have that consistent access to your throat energy, to speaking your truth, to bringing your manifestations into life. If it's undefined, it means you take in and amplify other people's throat energy. And it doesn't mean that you can't manifest your own reality. Of course you can. It's just that your access to, knowing what you want to say, having clear words come out of your mouth can be a little less consistent than those with a defined throat. So in that throat center, there are 11 different voices. Each gate is a unique voice. And so when you're looking at your body graph chart, you can see which of the throat gates is defined, which ones are colored in. Those gates are going to be gates that you have consistent access to this type of energy. And again, if you don't have these in your natal chart, then it just means that the voices of the throat are going to be less consistent. And I would recommend that if you have a completely open throat, that accessing energy from other people, using hacks like going to the library, going to the grocery store, just being around other people will help you to access some of that energy so you can actually speak your truth. And each of the different gates is a unique voice. And when you are speaking from your truth, using your specific throat gates, well, you're going to tap into your most powerful aligned communication that way. So I'm going to break up the throat gates into different categories. So the first category is the throat gates that are connected to the mind, the head and ajna centers. So this is about speaking your wisdom. So if you have gate 62 is the gate of details, and it says, I think. So think about speaking from analysis, from clarity that you might be feeling, and not from avoidance. You don't want to try to avoid things, but in this case, if you have gate 62, you're going to be able to talk about the details in things and say the phrase, I think. If you have gate 23 is the gate of assimilation, and it says, I know. So for you, it's going to be, I know, that leads into insights that you have. Instead of playing dumb or playing like you don't know, which is the opposite of what the gate 23 is empowering you to do. And then if you have gate 56, which is the gate of stimulation, then that says, I believe. And in this case, you're going to be sharing your truths, your stories, your perspectives unapologetically. And I think what can happen in this case is like, there's maybe some fear around sharing your specific perspective. And that's where I'm encouraging you, if you have the gate 56, to just speak out, share your story, share your perspective unapologetically. Okay, so those are the three gates that are connected to the mind or the ajna. And they have those three voices. I think, I know, I believe. We're going to talk about the gates that are now connected to the solar plexus. Okay, these are the gates that go off to the right of the throat center. And this is where you speak your feelings. So gate 35 says, I experience. Gate 35 is the gate of change. So instead of saying, I'm fine, express what you're actually, what emotions are actually moving through you. What is your experience? How are you actually feeling? So that's gate 35. Gate 12 is the gate of caution. And the gate of caution says, I try. So how can you honor your emotions? Again, this is connected to the solar plexus. So how can you honor how you're feeling and express that when you are ready? The thing about the 1222 channel is that it definitely has to be in the mood to voice its feelings. So make sure you're tuned into that and then share it. I try. How can you use that phrase to help you share how you're feeling and the emotions that you are experiencing? And then gate 45 is called the gate of the gatherer. And this gate says, I have. So you want to claim what's yours if you have this gate, whether it's wisdom or especially when it comes to how you're feeling. That's what you want to talk about. Okay, so that is the solar plexus, and the gates that are coming off of the throat headed to the solar plexus are all about speaking your feelings. We're going to talk about the gates now that are connected to your identity or your G center, and these are gates that speak your truth. They speak your personality. They speak to who you are and how you lead. So we have gate 33, which is the gate of privacy, which says, I remember. Here we're pulling on past experiences as wisdom, not baggage. So don't be afraid to share what happened in the past as it relates to what you're talking about in the present and perhaps how it can help you to discern your best moves for the future. It's not denying the past, but you want to bring it up. You want to share it. This is the gate 33. I remember. Gate 8 is the gate of contribution, and it says, I contribute. If you have this gate, understand your voice matters. How are you contributing to the world? What do you have to add to the world? And then express that, share that, know that you can stand in that certainty that this is a gift you have to share with the world. And then the last one that connects the throat to the G center is gate 31, the gate of influence. And this one says, I lead. So I'm encouraging you, step into leadership, step into being visible and guiding others if you have this gate, and speak your truth about the kind of leadership that you want to bring to the world. What do you see in yourself that you want to share with others? And then speak that truth out into the universe. All right, and the next section of gates are connected to the spleen, which is all about intuition and instinct. And so these gates speak that insight, that intuition, that deep, deep inner knowing. So we have gate 20, which is the gate of the now, which is speaking about your presence. It's speaking into existence how you are right in this moment without over-explaining, but more just to express it and root yourself in it. I am is the phrase for gate 20. And then we have gate 16, which is the gate of skills. And this gate says, I experiment. And it's all about trying shit out, failing, learning from it, and repeating the cycle and owning it, sharing that accountability and understanding that this is part of your process. It's similar to 3-line energy, This is a gate that also, because it has that gift of trying and failing and learning, it develops so many skills. So sharing those skills. I experiment. What did I learn? So notice that not one of these gates says, I'm fine or it's fine, right? So how do we decondition from I'm fine or it's fine and own your true voice? First of all, it's understanding that I'm fine is a habit. It's a good girl habit. So the best thing that you can do for yourself, and if you've been listening to this pod for a while, you've heard me say it ad nauseum, step one is always awareness, right? It's noticing When do you default to I'm fine? Sometimes it can be easier to start to notice it in others. When you're having a conversation with somebody, when do you hear other people saying, oh, it's fine, or I'm fine? And it's just about noticing it, catching yourself in the moment. So when you hear it coming out of your mouth, it might just be like an, ooh, interesting, okay. If you can catch it before you say the words, that is growth, right? That is the ultimate that we're looking for, because if you can pause before you respond, as you're about to say it, you can ask yourself, is this actually true? Tune into your body's reaction when you feel like those are the terms. So those are the words that are going to come out of your mouth. I'm fine or it's fine. Does it really feel that way? And if not, where do you feel it? Where do you not feel fine? Is it a drop in your gut? Is it this buzzing feeling in your body? Is it feeling just really low somehow, or like you have an upset stomach or a bad taste in your mouth? What are the ways that it feels? And just note that and thank your body. Thank you for communicating with me. Thank you for showing me how it feels when I'm trying to quiet my truth. The next thing that you want to do and start to practice is rewiring your response. So what do you swap out instead of saying, I'm fine? So a couple of things that you could say is, I'm figuring this out right now. Or instead of saying, it's nothing, you could say, you know what, actually, this matters. And I'm not quite sure how I want to respond to it yet, but it's important. So give me a second to think about that. If you say something like no worries, sometimes you do feel like it's not a big deal. And if you say no worries, I know this is something that I often say, and I'm thinking about, for example, making plans with a manifesting generator friend. I have lots of man-gens in my life, and I have come to love their energy so much and understand that anytime I make a plan with them, it's always sort of in pencil. I think, well, something may come up, and that is fine. I really gotten to the point where I respect their energy, and it doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed sometimes, but I'm not taking it personally the way I might have in the past. And so it's just about noticing. And so if I say no worries, I have to make sure I mean it. And so I invite you to do the same. If you say no worries, great, just make sure you mean it. And if you don't really mean it, then you can express your disappointment. You can say something like, actually, I need to tell you something, and it's important. I need you to understand that I understand why you had to cancel our plans, using this example, but I'm really disappointed about it. And I just wanted you to know that. Done. That's it. And, they may say something back that further upsets you. And again, it's just more information for you. It's more time for you to assess the situation and assess where you're feeling hurt. But what's most important is feeling proud of yourself in that moment because you're speaking your truth. So step 3, if we're going through ways to decondition, with step 1 being awareness and step 2 being rewiring your response, step 3 would be to practice this daily, strengthening your voice. And this is not only speaking your truth daily, but also doing like vocal warm-ups, humming, singing, chanting to activate your vagus nerve and clear those energy blocks, help that throat center stay really fresh and ready to speak the truth. Practice speaking your truth out loud, even to yourself. Maybe you're out on your morning dog walk and start saying what is coming through for you and speaking what feels true. Another thing that you can practice with are affirmations, of course, and tying them into your specific throat gates, your unique voice, are the throat gates that you have, and how can you write affirmations for yourself that help you to speak your truth with the phrases that are attached to every single gate. I remember, or I try, or I experience, I believe, etc., etc. So using those affirmations can be a really beautiful way to strengthen your voice on a daily basis. And then step force, embody this shift during midlife. Midlife is that time, remember, going through perimenopause here, where our estrogen levels are dropping. Therefore, we give less fucks. And this is the perfect time not to shrink. It's the perfect time to fully own who you are. And look, if you have spent years putting others first, this is your time. This is your wake-up call to speak up, to ask for what you need, to stop dulling your specific brilliance, to stop dulling your gifts, and to gift them to people. So I'm going to take just a hot minute to give you a little activation meditation. So if you're driving or you're walking or you're doing something else here, this is going to just take a minute. Intention setting that will hopefully help you to reset and remind you of your power. So what I'd like you to do right now is close your eyes and take a deep breath in for 4 counts. Hold it for 4 at the top. Exhale for 4. Hold it for 4 at the bottom. Repeat that one more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Okay. Now what I'd like you to do is place a hand right at the base of your throat or wherever it's comfortable. And I'd like you to place the other hand on your heart. And then I invite you to repeat after me, actually saying these words out loud because we are speaking them into existence. My voice is powerful. I speak my truth with confidence. I am done quieting my truth. I will not say I'm fine any longer when I mean something else. Now feel free to go back and repeat this as many times as makes you feel it deeply, feel the resonance in your voice, and then start to believe it, because that is you reclaiming your voice. So these 3 episodes have been all about shifting from quieting your truth by using the phrase, I'm fine or it's fine. No more shrinking, no more swallowing your truth. I want you to go and look at your chart if you haven't already and determine what throat gates do you have, which ones are defined in your chart, and start practicing using their voices today. Okay? And DM me on Instagram, send me a message or send me an email and let me know what are your defined throat gates and how are you going to start using them? What's your plan? How are you going to start turning them into affirmations and speaking your truth? I would really love to hear what this is looking like for you. And if you need help with this sort of work, helping yourself to tap into your truth, your power, your gifts in midlife, then I have some one-to-one coaching spots available for this spring. So send me a DM or email me, and I will send you an application so I can help you to do this type of work over the long term. And I am so excited to hear how these activations, how these episodes have helped you. Bye for now. Thanks so much for listening to Midlife by Design. I hope that this episode and this series on It's Fine or I'm Fine gave you some inspiration when it comes to deconditioning your throat and speaking your truth. If you're struggling with that, book a call with me. I would love to chat with you about how human design can make a difference in how you are navigating expressing your truth and living this phase, this midlife thing. It could very well be the permission that you need and the clarity that you're seeking that's going to lead you to making this the best part of your life. So as we close, I'm sending you the strength to release what no longer serves you, joy to fill your days, and clarity to be who you came here to be.